Hey guys, welcome back. Another trig video for you here today. The topic of this one, sine law. Not quite like SOHCAHTOA, but not that different either. Let's check it out. Alright, so sine law, what is it and how is it different from SOHCAHTOA? Well, first of all, the sine law is used in non-right angle triangles. Now, technically it could work in right triangles, but there's a couple of cases that you could get stuck with where sine law wouldn't work for you. So your safest bet, use SOHCAHTOA for the right angle triangles and sine law for the non-right triangles. Remember right triangles, they had that little box in the corner usually to identify them as being right triangles, while non-right triangles don't have one of those 90-degree angles. That's how you know to use sine law. Now, just like SOHCAHTOA, it's used to find missing side lengths and angles in these non-right triangles. And just like in SOHCAHTOA, if you're finding an angle instead of a side length, your last step is always the sin -1. So sine law is a little different because all we're using is that sine or sin button on the calculator. We're ignoring cos and tan when we're using this formula. Now, labeling this triangle is really important. First of all, my angles get capital letters A, B, and C. They can go in any order. So once I've labeled the angles, capital A, capital B, and capital C, the side lengths get labeled accordingly. What that means is that whatever angle I start with, I go across the triangle and give that side length I've just landed on the same letter, but in lowercase. So across from the angle with capital A is going to be side length A in lowercase. Across from angle B with the capital letter is going to be side length B in lowercase, and the same thing goes across from angle C is a lowercase c. Now that the triangle is properly labeled, we got to figure out how this formula works. Now this is only one formula, but it's got 3 fractions in it. So what I've got to do is fill in the information that I know into each of these fractions, and that information is given in the question. Now in the example, you're going to see we only ever use 2 of these 3 fractions at any one time. Impossible to work with 3 fractions at once. Impossible to use 3 fractions at the same time. So once we narrow it down to 2 fractions, we're going to cross multiply to find our answer. Important reminder again, if we're finding an angle, we've got to do the inverse sign as our last step. Now, one really important thing to know about the sine law is that if you're solving for an obtuse angle, and remember, obtuse means bigger than 90 degrees, you've got to take whatever answer your calculator gives you for that angle and subtract it from 180. The reason for this, although you don't really need to know it, is that the sine of 2 supplementary angles is exactly the same. So for example, if you took your calculator, you could try it now, and found the sin of 30 degrees and the sin of 150 degrees, it would give you the exact same answer. Now your calculator will always give you the acute angle, so if you know you're looking for an obtuse angle that's bigger than 90 degrees, you've got to subtract your answer from 180. Don't get caught in that trick. And if you're not really clear on that, the second example that I'm going to do is going to show you exactly what I mean. So check out the 2 examples to see how it works.